Dancers die 2 deaths.
Dancers often confuse who they are with what they do. Recently, I made one of the biggest decisions of my career. I pulled back from dancing full time. It wasn't because I stopped loving dance. It was because I started feeling pulled towards other dreams.
The only constant thing in life is change. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it, but you do have to accept it.
I was like feeling like a fraud almost.
You danced for 20 years. You've been out of it for 2.
You replay your last performance and you're like, damn.
What's up, everybody? This your boy DJ, aka DJ the Kid, and we are back and blessed with another episode of The Movement Mic, where the rhythm meets the real talk. This isn't just another dance podcast. It's the go-to podcast where dancers are heard, empowered, and inspired. Before we dive deep, dance family, I just want to tell you guys, please show your love and support. Stay locked in with us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at The Movement Mic. Follow us on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcasts at The Movement Mic. Always remember, this is your mic, your movement. Let's go. So I got 2 very special guests today. And first I want to introduce Miss Chloe Grant Abel. What's going on, Miss Chloe? This is actually one of my first guests, like literally the first guest of The Movement Mic. So appreciative of her.
Grateful.
It's been a like we was just talking about. It's been a little minute before I shot a pod. I have been going through a lot, and that's actually what today's topic is. Yeah, it's perfect, right?
Perfect transition.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
So, today's topic, we're gonna get into transition a little bit. Sorry, I just wanted to introduce my my co-host today.
Yes, absolutely.
But,
thank you, DJ. I want to say thank you though for
absolutely
always for having me back, and just this. I'm so proud of you, and I really believe in this.
I'm so glad.
Grateful.
Actually, you're helping me out a great deal because, like I said, I'm trying to get my chops back and just trying to get back in the rhythm of things. But without further ado, today's conversation is one I think almost every dancer is going to experience, whether it's tomorrow or 20 years from now. Recently, I made one of the biggest decisions of my career. I pulled back from dancing full time with a professional company. It wasn't because I stopped loving dance. It was because I started feeling pulled towards other dreams, hosting a podcast, teaching, building businesses, traveling, acting, living life in ways that a full-time company schedule just didn't leave much room for. Even when it's the right decision, transitioning isn't easy. There's excitement, uncertainty, guilt, fear, and sometimes grief. After going through it myself, I sat down with today's guest for a counseling session that helped me process what I was feeling. Because so many dancers struggle with transitioning, I felt the need to bring this topic to the pod. She's a licensed professional counselor and sports psychologist, thanagist, I hope I said that right, author, and someone who specializes in helping dancers navigate their mental side of their careers. Please welcome back Dr. Natasha Trujillo. I hope I said that right.
Thank you for having me. Thanatologist.
Thanatologist. Look, I said, what did I say?
That was close.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. What is that? I don't even know what that is.
So it is someone who specializes in the study of death, dying, loss, and bereavement.
Wow. Okay.
So it's kind of all things grief and
Mind blown.
loss. Hence, right?
Right.
Transitions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lose things.
Yep.
So I'm able to use it in both, of course, when I'm working with someone going through death, but also non-death losses.
Thank you. Say it one more time for me.
Certified thanatologist.
Thanatologist.
Yes,
Okay, yeah, I just learned that, and people out there better not act like that's the first, or that's like the 30th time they've heard it. I know a lot of people out there who's gonna watch this and be like, wait, what?
Exactly.
What is that? So
Yes.
it is what it is. It's cool. But before we even get into it deep, how have you been? You know, it's safe to say that like it hasn't been that long since we've chopped it up, since we talked. Like the last time you were on an episode, we got into like a broad spectrum of mental health, very, very broad.
Health,
yeah, we talked about a lot. And then, like I mentioned, I started going through this transition phase of just wanting to do a lot more, you know what I'm saying? And I was a little bit lost, something that we'll probably get into a little bit later. But like from my experience, transitioning from dancing full time, like during that period of time where we were talking, I was very, I guess lost is the closest, probably like the closest. I wouldn't say that's accurate, but probably like the closest thing I can get to it.
Maybe confused,
like a lot of different feelings actually. I didn't necessarily know how to process it. So, and I thought about you. And that session for me was beautiful. It was informative, and I greatly appreciate it. But I want to know how are you? Like, what have you been up to?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah.
For sure.
Also lots of transition, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of always ongoing. So rethinking what I want to do with the practice, how I want to expand it. I just bought a house, so transitioning
Congratulations.
into that. I'm so tired
so
of
looking forward to buying
buying
a
and
house.
putting together furniture and all of those things,
Yes.
but very, very grateful. So yeah, been good. Trying to travel a little bit more. And
So good. So
of
good.
course,
Any places in particular think about traveling to?
just got back from New York City a
For
couple
sure.
weeks ago.
Love
Okay.
New York.
Went
Yes.
to, I saw Every Brilliant Thing on Broadway
Every brilliant
with
thing. Yes.
Mariska
Yeah.
Come on now.
Hargitay, who I am obsessed with.
For
so
sure. Yes.
Shout out to her. That was amazing.
Dope.
Nice. Like I said, I'm trying to get into some Broadway shows.
Oh my God.
For real.
What a cool atmosphere.
Yeah.
Of course it's performance, no
Yeah,
doubt, right?
For sure.
So yeah, incredible experience. Next trip is Nashville.
Okay.
Nashville.
Been to Nashville.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Miss Chloe, how you doing?
Chad, I'm fine.
Okay.
I can't complain.
Yeah.
Just doing the thing. I mean, again, transition. You know,
Yeah.
I transitioned about 3 years ago.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like,
We could touch on personal experiences.
well,
for
no,
sure.
I was just saying, you know, like I'm a teacher now and full time, so that's an interesting. Still performing, but it's an
For sure.
interesting. It's an interesting. Again, just change of career that I am absolutely loving, but it's still a change, you know. So it's perfect.
Absolutely.
I'm still in that feel. I still am in those feels of change
Mhm.
and transition. So I'm so excited.
And does it
Today.
ever stop? You know, like
I don't think I think it's
like when you say you still in that, when you're still in them fields of change, like does it ever even stop?
right.
You know what I'm saying?
The only constant thing in life is change,
Yeah.
right?
Very
so
true.
no, I think we're
No.
consistently evolving and changing and transitioning and having to pivot and figure out,
Yes.
do I still want this? Do I still like this?
All the more reasons why I wanted to bring this topic to the pod. So just like getting into surface level a little bit, like from a psychologist's point of view, what does transition mean?
Great question. I use the word pivot, and I feel like I use that a ton in my clinical work, not just because I played basketball, but
Yeah.
because I think it really does describe so well what we're doing. Transition, we are moving from one thing to another,
Mhm.
but I like the idea of pivot because if you think about your foot being pivoted on the ground,
Mm.
sometimes it is completely static. It's not moving at all, but the
Yeah.
rest of your body is. Sometimes you might be up on your toes. You're getting a little better range of motion.
That's a great way to think about
So
it.
I think about that because you're still kind of pulling and connected to where you've been, but you're also really moving around and giving yourself a completely different vantage point. To
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
Yeah, my co-director always says the power of the pivot. You got it, the power of
Yeah.
the pivot.
I like
and I'm
that.
like, that's true. That's
do.
so true.
Yeah.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Do you think that do you feel like, how do I word it? Because we're artists, right? And so I want to know from a psychologist's point of view, do you feel like artists struggle more with transition than other people, like in other careers?
Good question. I don't know that it is artist per se,
Okay.
but I think it is, this goes for artist, performer, athlete,
Mm-hmm.
lawyer, accountant, it could be whatever
Yeah.
label we want to use. If you are so fused with your performance identity and you don't have a lot of other identities, you don't
Ooh.
pour any energy into them,
Yeah.
I feel like it's those folks that are just so ingrained with that one identity. I
Mhm.
think they have the hardest time with the transition out because they don't know who they are outside of it and they don't really have anything in motion or in place.
So it
when
goes
that
deep.
pivot
It goes even
happens.
deeper than just like the career surface. It's like almost like the broad like idea of mental health. It's like, what kind of
Identity.
person are you?
Identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you identify, if that is like your soul, I am a dancer, like, and
Yes.
that is all that you, or I am a whatever,
Mhm.
and that's all you identify with. I can only imagine how hard it would be to now that's done.
Yeah.
And now I am not that. I'm still a dancer, but
Yes.
I'm not a dancer.
Yes.
You know, so
Which kind of brings me to my next question. Is it accurate to say that dancers often confuse who they are with what they do?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think those things go hand in hand. If you have a artist who is able to connect with other parts of who they are, right? Like they put energy into, well, I kind of like this stuff over here too.
Mhm.
And, these are the other roles that I play. You know,
Right.
it might be a a partner, you might be a parent, you might be a daughter, son, child, niece, nephew, whatever, those other aspects, I think it's so much easier to consider aspects outside of just that artistic domain or just that performance domain, whatever.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's so many, like, also, like, just to chime in really quick,
Please.
just thinking, like,
come on, Miss Chloe, you my co-host, man.
I know,
Chime
yeah.
in
Well, you know what I mean,
anytime.
but, you know, I'm getting
Anytime.
covered. I'm like, let me get my computer. I got my questions right.
I just like saying that.
Yes.
That's my
But,
co-host.
you know, like, I think that one of the, there's also those within transitions as well, right? Not even just thinking about transitioning, like, just having an injury. Like, that's a transition,
Yes.
even though it's not maybe a permanent.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just thinking about that, like, just with students, if you have an injury and you're out for a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yes.
How that transition of
Yeah.
coming back
Yeah.
in, you're not going to necessarily be the same dancer, and you're going to have that identity moment where you're
Yes.
like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is taking.
And that
away
was
from me.
like I was
It's
telling
huge.
you before, like we got on before we got on camera, like our conversation, it opened the idea of what like you don't necessarily have to be transitioning out of your career. Like the idea of transition can mean so many different things, but even though it still means so many different things, you can still like all the feelings that come with it can still be present, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Mhm.
If there's a significant loss, even if it's wanted, right? Like even if you get to a point in your career where I am actually choosing
Yeah.
on my own accord, I'm choosing to walk away from this thing that I have done for 20 years. All right, I'm ready for something new.
Yeah.
And you might be really excited about that. You might be like, yes, there's more stuff on the
Yeah.
other side here for me. You're still losing. There's still things that you're going to lose
Yeah.
in that process.
Yeah.
And that's honestly one of my biggest motivations and one of the most important things I love to advocate about and talk about so much is normalizing that grief process.
Yes.
Mhm.
Even when the experience or
into it, for
the
sure.
intended outcome with the move you're making is positive, is something wanted.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other. And so I think so much about the gains and the losses when we're experiencing these pivot points in our life.
Mhm.
And I think that language and really wrapping your head around, yeah, I mean, the lowest hanging fruit is, okay, yeah, you stop dancing altogether.
Mhm.
You quit your job altogether and move into a totally different field. You graduate from school, right? Like you're
Yeah.
no longer a student. You
Mhm.
got to become an adult.
It's such an
all of those
emotional
things.
roller coaster.
It is.
Like
Yes.
all the different, like there's so many different emotional responses that come with transitioning. Let me ask you, with the dancers that you see, is there like a common emotional response that you may get from dancers that you talk to?
That's a really good question. So if we're talking in the grief world, right? If
Yeah.
someone is losing something, no grief process looks the same.
Yeah.
Right? You can have one person, I'm going to take the most obvious example. Someone in your family dies,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
All of the survivors, you're all going to have a different reaction. You're all
Mhm.
going to feel different things at different times. I think the same is true when an athlete, performer, artist is transitioning away from their craft.
And that kind of it's like I said, like once we get on camera, like everything starts flowing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned to me personally that grief often shows up transition, and kind of if you could piggyback on a little bit, like what does that and just for the people who watching, what does that grief I guess time period or that grief space, like what does that look or sound like? Is
Great
that
question.
fair?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I wish I could give you a more succinct answer,
Yeah.
but I can't, right? And that's one of the biggest takeaways that I want people getting from this conversation today.
Okay.
It's going to look like it needs to look for you.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be some commonalities, right? It can be a little up and down. I call it waves of grief sometimes, where you
Mhm.
might feel really good about your decision for a few days. And it's like, I don't even miss this. This feels great. I love
Yeah.
it. And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's like,
Boom.
oh no.
I need to get in class.
Yeah.
Oh, what did I
Nah,
do?
for real. Like, nah, seriously, real
What
talk.
happened? You know, or you might be walking down the street and walk by a podcast that's getting filmed and see a pair of point shoes, right?
Mhm.
And you're like, oh my God, I'm losing it. What am I doing?
Yeah.
So I think the ups and downs, I want to normalize that. I think that is very appropriate,
Yeah.
very common, a very normal response.
Yes,
I'm sure there's
grief.
guilt. Oh, there could be some guilt. There's like that uncertainty, the fear,
The fear of uncertainty is huge.
Yes.
And I think you mentioned confusion earlier
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
about like, who am I now without this?
Yeah.
And can I be as successful? And am I going to lose, if I stop doing this, am I going to lose
Mm-hmm.
the traits that allowed me to be really successful there, or will I have no place for those traits anymore?
That's one thing I was really kind of grateful for. Like I said in the beginning, I was feeling, like you said, even if you want it, like I was wanting to go in these directions. Like it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't that I wanted to leave dance completely. Like I still love dance. I still in the middle of the day do pirouettes and tendus. Like I'm still wanting to get in my tights. But I was like I said, I was feeling so pulled to do these other things that I had been thinking about for years. For years. And I think like what you mentioned, that's where the guilt for me, I guess, again, personally speaking, like, I feel like that's where the guilt kind of came in for me, was because like, okay, I've given dance like everything, like my all, like, if it's like, if you know, like, if you know me, like, I don't mess around. Like when it's time to get in the studio, when it's time to work, it's time to work. You know what I'm saying? And I, especially being a bunhead, you know what I'm saying? Especially loving ballet. Like ballet is a whole different beast. Like you have to like, oh my gosh, it's just indescribable feeling. But I started feeling pulled towards these other things and started feeling, I guess guilty would be like the closest thing to put to it, because in a way, I felt like I was almost giving up, if that, like maybe giving up, maybe. Maybe I'm trying to pinpoint like why I felt guilty. Maybe you can help me out with that.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one thing that we chatted about, which was just, I think guilt, but accompanying fear of that too. Am I leaving before I've peaked? Am I leaving before? I bet a lot of dancers think about that. Right? Like, yes. Is there more that I can do here? Am I tapping out too soon? Am I giving up because that's not in my character? So I don't want to do that either. Yeah. So I think there was a lot of fear of the uncertainty, and like yeses, I want these things. I want to pursue some other things, and I'm feeling quite badly about
going just as hard or
reducing. It's almost like what you're suggesting is I don't want to put as much time and energy into this anymore. Yeah. And so when you've been in a relationship with this thing, with this craft, with this passion for so many years, when you start to say, I don't want to bring the same energy. Yeah, it kind of feels like and
you know what? Yeah. I actually
a relationship breakup.
Not for real. No, it really does, because I thought about this before, just probably like a couple of days ago. Like it's almost because even like people you work with or the people you did work with, or even the faculty will start like, they might look at you a little different, or they might talk to you a little different, or the relationship might change up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
It's interesting.
Not to say that it's necessarily a bad thing, but like that can add a lot more if people don't know that, or like the people who are witnessing it may not understand or realize that at the time. You know, understand what I'm saying? Like, just, man.
Yeah. And it's just weird to try on, because when you've been so dedicated and so disciplined to something for so long, when you start to not feel that same push or drive to do it, it also makes you feel like you aren't even you. Yeah. And so I think there is fear with that too. It comes back to the identity.
And then when you start showing up to the space feeling like that, that's like, I feel like kind of prime, just like feeling of like knowing like, okay, there has to be some kind of shift. Yeah. It might not necessarily be time to, but like, I probably done all I can do, or it just, like I said, it's simply put, it just might be time for like a shift. Yeah. How do you know the difference between healthy grieving and depression?
And this question I
love when Natasha like when I ask her questions, I love when she light up.
I'm like, yes, thank you. Oh goodness. So to me, I think about loss of functioning being a huge component when I'm deciphering.
Loss of functioning, tap into
loss of like
motivation.
It could be, of your day-to-day. Can you not take care of your responsibilities in the same way?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, some of that is common in grief. So I think about, where is that line, right? Where your functioning has become so impaired that you are like, oof, it's hard something's off. Something's off. Yeah. But it really is challenging, because I think so many depressive symptoms are so appropriate and natural and normal in grief. And I want to give people ample time. I tell people there's not a timeline for grief. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I will often have people come into my office and they'll say, I feel like I should be over it by now.
Right.
Right?
That
Why
is
am I still
interesting.
thinking about
why am I
this?
still thinking? It's like you start to almost get a little obsessive about it. Like, I should be done
and
with
a conversation
this.
I had with the dancer, she's 2 years out now. I reminded her, you danced for 20 years. You've been out of it for 2.
Yeah.
Does that make sense that your grief would just be evaporated from this?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh,
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
It seems like just like speaking, like just putting myself in her shoes for a second. Them 2 years is probably like
That's where
hell.
I'm at that 2-year mark.
So
Really?
challenging.
Yeah. It is really challenging, especially like for me.
And I didn't even put that together. Like,
for me with
seems like
transitioning
yesterday.
out, it does.
Yeah.
It does seem like yesterday. And I think about when I transitioned out of just out of where I was
full time
dancing and making the decision to be like, oh, I think I want to go freelance. I want to be a freelance. I've done company life in many companies. I love that, but I'm done with that, right? But also there's also a interesting feeling when you don't feel like you've left somewhere at your best.
Absolutely.
Where you're like, and that's a really interesting part of grieving where it's like, it's not regret, but it's like you replay your last performance and you're like, damn, like that wasn't my best, and now that's what is thought of, and it's like, wait, hold on, no, and then you're like, I still have more in me.
So that kind of made me. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think you were making a fantastic point there, and what I will say to that is, oftentimes I try to pull out the narratives that we are telling ourselves versus the kind of objective truth, because the more this is true for any high level athlete performer.
For sure.
The more you replay your own stuff over and over, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Right. And so this narrative that you have crafted might not be like your last performance was probably incredible.
That's kind of what I was about to get into. I was like, how do you even determine how do you even determine what you put into it? How do you determine whether or not if it was your best?
Well,
you know
think
what I'm
about it.
saying?
Well, you know what? It's live art. It's live.
Yes.
It's live.
Yes.
It's going to be, the floor might feel like this. But I think when it feels like in your head, this is my last, once you've put that label on it, and then it's like, everything hasn't lined
That's the narrative.
Yep, exactly.
That
The
you're
stars
telling
haven't
yourself.
the narrative, the stars haven't aligned, and then you think, oh my God, that was my last, and that's what I gave for my last, you know? And I think that's exactly what you're saying, the narrative that we put around it in our heads of just things not being, again, going back to that perfection.
I was just thinking about that.
Thing
That
we
word
talked
kept
about.
popping in my head as we was
It
getting
wasn't
into it.
perfect.
Yeah.
Who cares? I have to now think about from the point of the process, getting my process, where I was, and think about that and give that more importance than the final. I think that's what's helping me with that grieving part of it.
And I think in time you can, in the more acute phases of that transition, it's going to be harder to pull you away from that last performance.
Yeah.
But I think in time you can introduce, let's look at your whole career.
It's so hard to even conceive
Look at the whole thing.
Yeah.
My last performance. Like I can't even like right now, even though I've pulled away from dancing full time, I can't even conceptualize the idea of that was my last show.
But that's the thing.
You know what I'm
it
saying?
wasn't even my last show. It was, but it
you
was
still carried that.
But I still carried it as if it was an end of a chapter, right? Because that was my end of a concert dance chapter. Now I'm in a freelance chapter, and this is a great.
And what you say there is so important too, because going back to the identity piece that we were talking about too, you sort of changed what you were calling yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You sort of changed that lens.
Yeah.
And so when we're making that, we were talking about this before we started recording too. I'm dealing with a little bit of an injury right now. And so something that I'm thinking about a lot, when I'm not training and when I'm not competing, can I still call myself an athlete?
Right. Am I
it's
still
I'm a fraud.
It is.
I'm a fraud. I'm not a dancer.
And it's so interesting because when people bring that up with me, I'm like, absolutely, you still call yourself that. But when I'm in my own head about it, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can use that.
Yeah.
It's a rediscovery.
I think I felt a little bit of that before I decided to move out here was because I was doing little odd shows and teaching and still and taking classes, but I wasn't like how I was here. You know what I'm saying? And during that period, I'll say more so than this period, because this period was a little different. I'm a little older, but like before coming out here, I was like feeling like a fraud almost. Like I know the caliber of work that I'm able to produce. I need to be on that level. I should be on that level. Like that, almost like entitled to feel that way.
Like I know what I can do, and I don't know why I'm not doing it.
I know I could do that. I know I could do that.
Yeah.
Some dancers may introduce themselves by saying, I'm a dancer. Can you speak on what happens psychologically when that changes?
I mean, yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about, right? You feel guilty as if you are doing something wrong, as if you have violated one of your own values. One thing I like to try to work with people is the difference between what is appropriate guilt versus what is manufactured guilt. So appropriate being, I always use this silly example, but if you walk up to someone on the street and you punch them in the face, you should feel guilty for that, right? Like you're violating, I mean, I would think for most people, you're violating one of your own principles by doing it.
Nah, for sure.
So you're not going to feel great. However, when you have come to the point in your life where it's like, I need to transition out of the company life, right? I need to explore what I might be able to do in this whole podcast space.
Yes.
When you are doing that, you are not turning your back. You are not, what word am I looking for? Betraying.
Yeah.
You are not betraying anything, but it feels that way. And so that's where the guilt comes. And so I really like to try to separate what are you manufacturing? It comes back to the narratives that you're telling yourself. And helping not completely change that narrative, but I like to create space and introduce nuances to those perspectives.
Okay. So for any dancers that might be currently lost, where do they begin to start to kind of rediscover, like, or might be in this space of feeling guilty or like currently now? Where do they begin? If they don't have the resources to get help, where do they begin to maybe switch that mindset?
Love it. I think starting with normalizing and showing a little bit of self-compassion when you are making that big of a transition and when you are experiencing that kind of loss, even if you want it, even if it's good loss.
Because I started to feel like because it's good that you mentioned like even if you want it, because I guess in a way I felt like I didn't really need help along the way, because it was like this is something that I wanted to do. So why do I still feel this way? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you said that.
Like that's I think that was one of the most like mind-boggling things I guess going through. Is just like everything that I said I was gonna do, like I'm doing it. So why do I still feel why do I still feel messed up about this decision?
I also think setting realistic expectations and standards for the process is really important.
Yes.
The other key thing that just came to mind is you said that when you are making that kind of pivot, your entire day-to-day looks very different, and you don't always know what that looks like.
Yeah.
When we are pursuing our passion, we know what our routine looks like year after year. You know when audition season is. Right? You know when the off season is. You know when the grind season is. Even within a performance run, you know, when are you learning? When are you refining? When are you doing that full run through all of those different pieces?
I think that was actually I think that was actually one of my questions in here somewhere. Like it was like what was it? It was like, man, I'm losing my train of thought now.
Well, can I add something? Because I was going to say, so we've been talking about wanting to, but what if you don't want to transition and you're feeling forced to transition? Now, this is something that I've when I talk to some of my friends who dance, who've danced, meaning they've had their careers, now they're having children and doing all that stuff, or they are, they've transitioned out of maybe the commercial world, but it's the I guess we should call it ageism, in the sense of where it's like you're starting to, the younger are coming in, you're kind of getting a little older, and you're not you're not getting the work. Maybe if you're freelancing, you're not getting the work that you would normally get, or maybe if you're in a company, the roles that you were doing, you're not doing them anymore, you're doing less, or almost that forced into for sure retirement.
That actually made me that brought my train of thought back. But yes, please.
Possibly not being treated the same anymore, right? There can be a lot of different things that go into that. This comes back to one of the first questions that the two of you asked about what emotion What, what emotion do we feel?
So many.
It's so dependent on the circumstance.
Yeah.
Is this a wanted change or an unwanted change? Is this a seemingly desirable change or an undesirable change?
Right.
What skills are you equipped with for the pivot to begin with, right? Have you ever considered, prior to you having that last performance, did you ever think about what you were going to do? Or was it kind of forced, like, hey, we're not renewing your contract? And that's that.
Yeah. And that's the scary, I think that's what scares me, which that wasn't my experience, thank God. But I think about friends who've had that experience, and I'm always very curious about, how you deal with someone telling you you can't. You know what I mean? In the sense of, because there's a little bit of control. They have the control. They've got the contract. They've got the shiny object. So.
A similar example is, do you have a injury that you just cannot come back from anymore, and the doc says you're done?
You're done.
So I think, the amount of autonomy and control that you have in writing that part of your own chapter absolutely impacts how you cope with it.
Yeah, because I said this last time with our mental health episode, but the dancers die 2 deaths, kind of.
Yes.
And it almost, I think, like, probably with that what that could feel like if you're being forced into a transition is almost like, this is awful.
Yeah.
This is awful, like, metaphor for it, but it's like being taken to your, the execution chair. You know what I mean? Like, we're leading you on, we're taking you.
Yeah, definitely, it gets stronger when that.
It can kill your ego too, because you're like, wow, am I not good enough anymore? Like, do I have this?
Well, and this is something that I talk about so much, because if you are used to being under the lights, when you transition out of that,
yes,
you really don't get that anywhere else.
And
not to the same extent.
Not to the extent.
It's different.
And so, like, even thinking about that, like my thought train came back.
Good.
Yeah, thank you.
I figured it would come back.
Yeah, appreciate it. I was about to ask, because you mentioned something about, like, kind of being in tune with your routine. So after you transition, how important is it to really, I guess, come up with a whole new routine for during that process, if that makes sense? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. This is so person dependent. I would say it is really important, and it is not really important, because I think for some people, you got to learn how to relax.
Yeah.
So true.
You got to learn,
find
like,
that balance.
what is it like if I don't have 16 hours of my day scheduled for me?
Yeah.
Because what can happen with that?
Just thinking about it made me kind of
sweat a little bit.
Yeah.
just a little bit, like, because
Yes.
for real, like, sorry, not to cut you off,
No, you're
but
good.
like, that really, I guess, going back to ballet, like, it's the structure,
The routine,
like,
ritual.
routine, like, you it's black and white. You do this every day, and I fell in love with ballet, and that kind of morphed into my everyday life of just wanting to have more structure in my life.
For
You know
sure.
what I'm saying?
There's a certain amount of certainty that comes with that sort of lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I always think about this in doses, right? Like, we're going to kind of dose relaxation. We're going to dose structure and routine. So yeah, I think the answer is both for so many people, and that relaxation time, that truly sitting, and sometimes I'll encourage my athletes to sit in silence for like 30 seconds.
Just be.
Not for a
move.
long time, because I would, I even struggle with it.
Yeah.
But even just for 30 seconds, what happens for you? What comes up for you? What do you think about? Because so much of that relaxation time in that transition allows you to figure out, well, where am I pivoting?
Yeah.
Who else am I? What else do I even like? And if you're not making any space for that, how are you going to develop
Exactly.
that
What
knowledge?
else do I like? That's a huge thing.
I think,
I think
Sorry,
about
go ahead,
no, go ahead. I think about that a lot too when I'm teaching like my younger dancers too. I always try to, like, my job here, is to teach you how to plie and do all those things, right? But my main reason I'm teaching you is because I want you to be good, kind, functioning human beings that are able to navigate this world. And if I don't teach you that, then who cares that I've taught you how to point your feet? You know what I mean? Like, you've got to be able to navigate the world around you, but you also have to know who you are. Besides, again, going back to this dancer,
that was one of the things. Yeah, that was one of the things that you mentioned in our session, I think. And I think I don't know. I guess I kind of pride myself on it, but, like, already having the mindset of wanting to do other things, I feel like really helped me out a lot. Or having these ideas of who I want to be outside of being a dancer. Like when people do watch this episode, I really do want people to kind of walk away with not only like knowing how to transition or having an idea of how to transition, but also feeling more comfortable about pursuing those other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, like going back to the identity thing, like feeling more like I would also like for dancers to feel more comfortable about rounding out their identity versus this is who I am and this is what I do. You know what I'm saying?
And oftentimes I get a little bit of pushback. So anyone who's ever worked with me, this will not surprise them at all, because I make that a point. The very first conversation I have with someone, I want to know what else is going on in their life. Of course, I want to hear all about their passion and what they're pursuing, but I want to start very early on introducing, we're going to be talking about other stuff too.
Yeah. And I think that's very, very, very important for sure. For sure.
It's necessary, because you got to read. I think when we were talking about even with transitions, not necessarily transitioning out, but transitions within our career as well. Like transitioning from, for example, I was a mom.
To company. Oh yes, that was one I was
from dancer to mom dancer. You know what I mean? Like that's a big thing, and I think that also
that's a huge.
Even before you even skip to that, like. Because I like our good friend Ray, shout out to Ray. I'm pretty sure. Like, can you talk about Miss Chloe? Like, because I've seen that amongst the dance community. Like, some ladies, they'll have a baby, come back, or it might take them all the way out. Can you talk about a little bit of your experience of that particular transition, like from dancer to becoming a mom, and then getting back into it?
No, this is yes, absolutely. Because I was this was actually kind of crazy, but I was an apprentice, and I was apprentice, and then I got my contract, and then I got pregnant right after I got my contract.
Wow.
And I finished out luckily my son was born in July. He'll be 13 on July 21st. Coming up. But
shout out young Cairo.
Yeah, little Cairo. But I had him in the middle of my first year.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
As a company artist?
Wow. As a dancer, my first year. And so,
everybody talk about your first year. That's when you got to go the hardest.
Like, that's when you have to go your hardest. And so I'm having a baby in the middle of this, right? And I think that, and I was 24. Okay, so 24.
Yeah.
Trying to navigate a new city, a child now, and a career. You know what I mean? And that transition within that, I mean, was in a child who had an illness as well, who has a syndrome called DeGeorge syndrome, who had open heart surgeries. And we were living in the hospital for 2 months when he was first born. So it was I think about this a lot when in all the therapy sessions that I've been that I've healed from, you know what I mean, to heal from all this. But I think about that transition of now I am navigating this career as a mom within this dance.
Yes.
And so that's it's not just me anymore. It's me plus one plus, family, You
ever have any cases like that?
And
a ton.
Sure. Every day I talk about this.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, a huge topic that I talk with people about is when.
Yeah.
When. I want to have a kid. A child. I want to have a family. But
hard.
When? What does that look like? When do I transition? How do I bring this up? What is this going to do with my career?
Wow.
So,
never even thought about it like that.
No, that's
so many nuances.
Yeah, because especially that one, I always think like, damn, if I wouldn't have had this little happy accident, I don't know if I would have been able to have I don't know if I would have taken the time to step away.
Yep.
From
to step away and actually plan it and actually think about it.
I don't even. that family planning. That's a big thing, especially because it's our bodies, right?
Yes. Well, don't even get me started on the body changes.
Please get started on
as
it.
well, because women,
talk about transitions.
I was just about to say. So now we freestyling, right? Now we in it. So going back to like our conversation that we was having like when we met up and kind of tied it into sorry I'm
this is perfect.
This is like basically what we was talking about, but it was pretty much Chloe's idea. Like I didn't think about the differences in like transitioning between men and women. you know, and one of the things that you guys just mentioned was like the whole body thing. As a man, like I don't think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I think like, okay, I'm gonna stay in the gym, I'm gonna stay healthy or do as much as I can to do like to just stay fit. But for women, I guess and correct me if I'm wrong, I might be understanding that to be something, you know, at least physically, that might be a whole different kind of transition or like mental process. Yeah. Is that something that either one of you could speak on as
well,
as
we both. It's like we could go for a couple hours on this one because I think from my perspective, I think I always personally I've never had any struggles with like an eating disorder or with food. Okay, so I'm grateful, but I've suffered from body dysmorphia. Yeah, in the sense of I see something different in the mirror than what I physically look like, and I feel like that, you know, when you're not dancing for however many hours a day anymore, you're not training at that elite level, you know, you're eating like a normal human being, you know, sometimes, you know, right? You're sometimes, you know, you don't have time. You got to grab that dry fruit and some nuts and throw it in your mouth and head into rehearsal sometimes, you know what I mean? So, but now it's like, I'm not training like an elite athlete anymore. I'm eating normal meals and snacks and things are getting a little softer and
I remember
that's
you mentioning that.
That's like a freak. You start to freak out because you're like that. I don't look like a little boy anymore.
Can you attest to that?
That is exactly
I was about
right.
to say, is that a similar feeling that you may have gone through? Or?
Oh my goodness, yes, yes. And this is something that I talk about daily, right? Well, and as you both know, I specialize in eating disorders too.
Yes,
so when and we know this, when someone is experiencing a major life transition, it could be an injury, it could be a job change, it could be moving to a new city, it could be a breakup, whatever it is, eating disorder risk goes a lot higher.
It's like with cortisol and just like stress and all the things and just like coping.
Yeah.
Using
control.
food to
What can you control, right? Your whole life's kind of up in arms, but
I can control what I eat. I can control
what I do or don't eat. Yeah. I can control what I do after I eat or before I eat or whatever.
Anything besides the physical? Like or like, you know, from a psychologist point of view, like when you see people like men and women, are there any like major differences like that come with transitioning as far as the difference between men and women?
I mean, I think again, the individual person, they're all going to have their own kind of what is this? I think the expectations and pressure for how their bodies are supposed to look might change a little bit. I also think it really depends how connected you stay in your sport.
No, that's true. Because I mean, if you continue to stay surrounded by that environment, I feel like you feel it even more. But if you're not, like if you're, you know, working a 9-to-5 in an office, maybe in that kind of like you're not necessarily surrounded by those visuals.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That can kind of help, not help, but not help is the wrong word, but can make you see it more, feel it more. Feel that
it's on your radar a little.
It's on your radar a little more.
Just recently, I was chatting, because it's the summertime right now. I was chatting with a client who's getting ready to go to their 10-year high school reunion.
Oh, yeah.
We spoke about nothing but body image for like 3 weeks in a row, because it was like, I was this mega athlete in high school and I certainly look different now. And I like, should I not even go? Should I not even go to the reunion? Because my body has
changed so much. That is a really, that it is so huge. And then also when you, like, since I've been freelancing and working as well, like I think about, oh my God, I've got to put on like a costume, and I'm praying that this costume is going to cover me because I have not been training like a you know what I mean? So it's like you go through
a little bit somewhat. Like I said, like it was great that you brought it up, but because like I said, as a man, and then I can only, like you said, it's very individual. So for me, I wasn't too much concerned about the physical. I was more like spreading out my time, trying to, cause I spent so much time, like, you know, like I say, ballet, dance, period. Like I spent so much time, so many hours, like so many brain hours, like in this one craft. Yeah. And all along, you know, there were like little things brewing, little things developing. So I don't know, I guess in a way I wanted to kind of, again, like speaking on like just wanting to transition, I wanted to take on these different challenges. So the physical was just kind of very, very far from my mind. It was more so like, I guess, mentally being balanced, keeping a schedule, making more money.
Yeah.
That was a big thing too.
And I think that like with the mental part, I think that I feel like the physical, that first physical like whoa is I think sometimes the first trigger of the mental like realization, like seeing it. It's like sometimes that triggers like a mental
kind of that
response.
grief wave, kind of like I was saying
exactly,
earlier.
that grief wave.
Or maybe not grief, maybe it's panic.
Panic, anxiety, confusion. Like, what do I do? Again, control. That where that mental.
Even in the off season, almost everyone that I work with, they talk about, I gotta get back into shape. I gotta get that body right. Like
that's been me these last like couple of weeks.
Theme.
And that mental toll of that stress of feeling like I have to get back to whatever this ideal thing is that I have decided is what I want for what I want to look like or whatever.
And I'm also glad we're talking about this too, because I do think this speaks to, we're trying to talk about transition and just bring more awareness to the different types of transitions.
Yes.
Even if you have no injuries, no major setbacks, no nothing, just the course of a season or of a full year, right? You've got your off season, your in season, whatever. There are so many transitions.
That's what I was telling you. Even that's again coming back to our conversation. When I got to bounce this idea off of somebody, meaning Miss Chloe, that had dawned on me. I'm like, like transition doesn't necessarily have to mean like you transition out of a company or you're transitioning into a new career. It like very much like your pregnancy. There are so many different transitions even throughout just one season.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Or soloist to principal or whatever ranking.
Yeah, it doesn't even always have to be
good
bad.
transitions.
Yeah, good transitions can be challenging as well.
Or even in a production cycle, right?
Yeah.
Again, you've got your choreography learning and then you're just kind of grinding in rehearsals. Then you've got tech week. I mean, just even those transitions, because I know the dancers that I work with we have to talk a lot about how do you still get your needs met during tech week? Because it's a nightmare.
Because it's grueling. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't think dance is seen so like out to the outside world. I feel like it's seen as it's so glamorous, right? And it's like, there's really like
it's a grind.
Yeah, it's not that beautiful, It's beautiful, but it's not like the background of the BTS is
absolutely.
Not the same.
And I'm recalling a lot of conversations that I've had too about, how do you as a dancer chat with your loved ones about I'm not as available during tech week. I want to be, because there's loss in that too because of the sacrifices that you make. Yeah. And the things that you miss out on and whatnot. But we talk about how to have those hard conversations where it's like, hey, it's not that I don't want to do A, B, and C. Let me try to help you understand the context of my schedule when this is going.
Yeah.
That kind of brought to my mind another question that I had. How important does like family and friends and community play? Like, how important are those things how important are they to someone when somebody is transitioning? I hope I worded that correctly. Yeah.
So this
like
comes
friends,
back,
family, community.
We haven't hit on this as directly, so I'm actually glad that you bring this up. But a lot of times when I'm talking about helping people figure out who else they are, it's not just how else they identify, but it's also who else is in their life. And what are those relationships? Are you putting energy into those things? Because when you are struggling and going through that transition, we need community.
Yes,
one of my favorite things about grief that I've learned about grief must be witnessed. Right? When you are trying to do it all on your own, doesn't usually go very well.
Nope.
How do we process grief? How do we keep figuring out how to move forward? It ends up being witnessed.
Yeah.
And there's a full continuum of how, what that can look like. But yeah, I think it is crucial. One thing that I see quite frequently is if you are the dancer in your family, but you don't come from a family of dancers, oftentimes they're like, what is the big deal?
Yeah, they don't get it.
So you're injured, so you're out for a couple months.
Okay.
What is the... Yeah. So I think those sorts of transitions are tough when you have a support system, but they don't fully get it. And so I do always encourage people, try to cast your net a little bit wider. You might not find that kind of support with your family during a time like this, but you might need to listen to this very podcast and you might find community in a space to help you through it.
For sure. Like I said, I want all dancers to kind of take away from this episode topic, how to better deal. Cause I know I'm not the only one who's went through it. And it just made it that much more, just the need to talk about it, because all in all, transitioning it comes with so many different emotions, and going back to grief always comes up. Can you talk about like the consequences of avoiding grief? Because I think I even had a period of time where I guess I want to say that I was doing that, like trying to avoid the bad feelings and the guilt and everything that didn't feel like it was supporting the direction that I was going in.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the consequences of avoiding grief?
Yes. So to keep it very short, you can run as far and as fast as you want. Yeah. It is always going to catch up with you.
So
you cannot outrun it. You cannot outwork it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes what I'll see people do is
I try to do. It's crazy.
They'll have something happen grief. And then it's immediately just, all my energy goes here now.
Yeah.
And so if you're not giving yourself that time, and again, I'm talking dosages here, right? I'm dosing grief. I'm not talking this, you need to go cry in the mountains for 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you do, but I think about it more, can we give ourselves moments in our day-to-day to acknowledge where we've been, where we are now, and where we want to go? So it is this kind of constant dance that is not as choreographed as we would like it to be by any means. Yeah, I think there are great risks that come with avoiding or running from grief. And that is why I'm so passionate about this topic. And I want to give people this language, and I want to talk through ways to cope with these sorts of things, because the more equipped you are, none of us are going to escape it.
Yeah.
It's so universal, which is also something that drew it to me so much in my own training. But the more equipped you are to deal with it, the less you have to avoid, the less you have to run. And there are moments where avoidance is great. We need distraction sometimes, right? Like we need.
I was about to say, please touch on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't just be in your grief head all the time.
Yeah.
We've got to get out and go and enjoy and just forget a little bit.
So definitely do
in doses.
In doses, yeah. It's not running. It's like making the decision to the conscious decision. Like, I'm not running away from this feeling.
Yeah.
I'm choosing right now to feel, not necessarily feel something else, or just whatever, distract myself, or have a little bit of a moment of I can't touch this right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel it, but I need to move on.
And this is really hit on. So the most recent part of my practice that I've built out, I just created a course for current and former athletes and performers.
Okay.
And I built it with this idea in mind that I think there's still a lot of stigma around mental health.
Yes.
And particularly when you are transitioning or when you are grieving, because grief, there's a lot of, stigma. There's a lot of fear around grief, a lot of anxiety around grief.
When we think about grief, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't really, we don't really like, we don't get this much into it when we talk about grief. So I'm glad that you're going here with it.
When I tell people I specialize in grief, they're like, why would you do that?
Wow.
I'm like, because it's all around us all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Right?
No cap.
So I thought about those people where it's just hard to reach them and sometimes it's pride and ego. Sometimes it's, I can't let anyone else know that this is going on. But I think when you are avoiding coping with these transitions that you're going through, you start to not feel like yourself. Maybe you are still performing really well, but something feels off.
Yeah.
You don't feel like yourself anymore. Maybe you're a little snappier than usual. Maybe you're a little fill in the blank. You're a little different than ever. And if you also have that, I can't talk to anyone about this. For a lot of the people that I work with, they have very high profile public personas.
Yeah.
So they're like, this is what I'm known for. This is how I can't really introduce some of this other stuff.
That's all the more reason why I wanted to bring it to the pod, because again, like, I was going through it, like feeling just like these waves that we talked about, going through it with these waves of emotions. And, this pod is, it's kind of like my safe haven. Like, I like, and I thought it was a good warm up too. Cause like I said, I haven't shot in a while, and I'm like, why not like get into what I'm actually feeling and what I'm actually going through and let that be like kind of like the rollout of this new beginning.
And you had mentioned this too, right? Like it took you, even though we've known each other for a while, it still took you a while to reach out and say, okay.
It did.
I would.
Nah, for real. It really did.
That is I feel like I hear that so frequently. And that's why I built the course, because I wanted to have a resource and a platform. You don't have to talk to me if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes that's hard sometimes it's really hard for people because it's like, it almost feels like it opens up a can of worms, like something that they can't control. I'm just I'm going to be a mess.
Yes.
And so it's like, I can't. So this is wonderful.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And I designed it so that it's online, it's asynchronous. You do it at your own speed.
Okay.
You don't, no other soul needs to know that you're doing it, but it's set up in a way that even a lot of what we're talking about, here's some tools. Here are some things that you can do.
What's the name of this course again now?
It's called Revising Your Game Plan.
Revising Your Game Plan.
Okay.
Okay.
I tried to
Just
even be so strategic.
Get it out there.
Transition, right?
Yeah.
So you have this game plan, you have this strategy, this blueprint of how you think your life is going to go. And when that has to be revised for whatever reason, you get injured, you decide to retire, somebody dies, you move, whatever it is.
Yes.
You don't start the game plan over.
Right.
Right. You don't completely erase who you were.
Yeah.
Right.
But you got to revise it.
Sure.
Some changes have to be made. So you can retain some stuff.
Sure.
You have to rediscover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think the course is really one of that kind of rediscovery, but it's done in a way because I think so many people are just so they're not ready to come into my office and tell me
It's like you need to journal it and sort out your thoughts.
I was definitely because like we was talking about earlier, like I started throwing myself into my work. I was working 4 jobs at a time and just like trying to create that like where the space of dance was like where it cut out. I was just trying to fill it up with work.
Yep.
Really and during that time also thinking that like I'm okay, like this is what was going to happen anyway. Like, but the more that went on, the more all of those emotions started to just like kind of wave in and out. You know what I'm saying?
But what happens, again, going back, like what happens if you don't have a plan? Like what, like if you're like, I have no clue what I want to do. And maybe you're in that layoff unemployment moment.
Especially for those dancers who have tied in who they are with what they do.
Yes.
And they don't know, like, oh my God, like, am I going to go work at Chipotle? Like, what am I going to do?
What are my skills? What are my talents? Like, how do you even begin to rediscover that?
It complicates the process so much. And that is why, again, even for those, maybe there are some dancers that are going to be listening to this that are early on in their career and they're like, that's 15 years down the road for me. The fact that we can plant that seed to say, even if it is 15 years, and again, that dose, it doesn't mean you have to dig in, but can you just start to open that up? So for those dancers that didn't have that opportunity, I think it starts with admitting. What I will say is you can't protest your reality, because the more you protest your own reality, the harder it is to figure out what are my solutions? How am I going to move forward? What am I doing?
You're fighting yourself.
And I feel like the reality is like, you're not going to dance forever, or like you can't dance forever. Like
you can explore other,
you can explore other avenues.
And I think that's something that I was,
I think, sorry, not to cut you off.
Please.
I think, again, like, I just want to encourage dancers to very much, like you said, just kind of open it up to different things. Although you're gonna put your life and even to the young dancers too, you're gonna put your life in everything into this. But don't be closed off. I should say that, like, instead of maybe like, because it might not be the time to open up to different avenues. It might be the time to like hustle, stay down, do your thing, and do exactly what you need to do. But don't be closed off to the idea of this isn't the only thing. You know what I'm saying? I think that was all I was trying to say. I'm sorry.
No.
I will also throw this in just from like a performance psychology perspective too. When you are more well-rounded,
exactly.
When you give yourself time to step away and go do other things, you perform better. And especially for something, right? Like as a basketball player, I didn't really need to bring too much self-expression. But for you all, the work that you do is so emotional. There's so much self-expression, right? You really need to I didn't need to get into a character. I just needed to go ball and do my thing.
For sure.
So for you all, the more you know yourself, the more experiences and nuances you give yourself, the better opportunity that you have to then show up with a new role.
Absolutely.
And really embody that role.
I'm so much in that space now of like, like I said, I'm not stepping away from dance completely, I kind of want to just live life a little bit. And like now I feel like I'm in the space to feel even comfortable enough to say that. Like I just want to live some more life, because I think I am one of those types of dancers or one of those types of artists where I've had these spurts of times where I feel like I have to kind of live life, and then when I come back to it, I can really love it, and I can really
you fall back in love with it again.
fall back in love with it like wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
you know,
in a healthier mindset.
For sure.
Because sometimes I feel like it can become very toxic.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to step away to get some perspective and be like.
So may I ask both of you a question?
Yeah.
Please.
I really like what you just said, and so I would be curious. A lot of what you asked me, I say, oh, it's so individual, and then I try to come up with at least some commonalities.
Yeah.
But I would love to hear from both of you.
Mm-hmm.
You just said, now I'm to this place where I can say this out loud, and I don't feel as guilty to be able to say it.
Yeah.
I want to know how you did that for you when you moved out of company dancer, or now as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
How have you done this? What were the ingredients? If you think about this as like a recipe, what are the ingredients that you put into that recipe that has helped you
get to this point of like,
a little more acceptance?
You want to start, Miss Chloe?
Let me try.
I was about to say, I gotta, man.
I do ask questions for a living.
No,
so
I appreciate that. No, I appreciate that. I gotta think about that.
Yeah, I think, if I can,
because I think it was a combination of different things.
Yeah, and if the words have found you,
no, I got you.
Go ahead.
I would definitely say, like, on a surface level, I'll say like we mentioned earlier, routine. So routine has definitely helped me out a lot. I'm one of those types of individuals where just routine, it just kind of stabilizes me throughout the day. I've been like I came up playing sports. I came up playing football. In any time that I got out of routine, it wasn't always good for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So having a routine was definitely one of the, and sticking to it, that was one of the things that kind of balanced me and helped me get to this comfortable feeling. Having genuine loved ones around me, like my family, people who I'm really close to, like having genuine conversations that kind of are outside of the realm of dance, like that helped me out a lot. What else should I say? Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things I'll say is knowing the goal and actively pursuing it was, I will say, and still being able to see it. Like once I stopped dancing, the goals that I had set and the goals that I had in mind, they never really, they didn't become harder. They didn't become easier. They were just still there. Yeah. And so having those goals still in place and having the room, I guess I should say, to start trying to work towards them, I think the challenge of that was one of the things that also kind of helped me get through it as well. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I think it was a combination of different things. Like it'll still like these last couple weeks, it's been kind of getting to me. I'm like, like I said, I'm doing pirouettes in the house, and
I know, because you're only this is your first month.
It's
out.
probably like, it's only probably been about like 2 months, yeah. But I'll say like these last couple of weeks, like I've been really feeling the bug for sure. Like I haven't been able to stop moving. I'm like doing half a bar in the house, I'm like getting around the jams, and I'm like, all right, let me probably chill out. But like that perfectionism, like that idea of wanting to be better and just like not wanting to slip on my skills, like that is slowly starting to creep in. But I am learning to be a lot more comfortable with it. I'm not in a space where I'm letting it fully consume me or take over. Yeah. I'm just telling myself like, I need to get in class, like, versus like when you're in a company and like you probably haven't taken class for a couple of days, it's like you feel all guilty, sorry, like, oh my gosh, like I'm not good enough. But now I think I'm just now getting in the space of like, just telling myself, I need to get in class. I'll get in class when I can. And when I do, it's going to be great. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
I think there you go, DJ. Yeah, exactly. I
hope that was a good, profound answer.
Yes. Yeah, I think I always had, one thing that was really hard, well, not hard, but I think I always, one of my good friends, Edgar Page, and he would always say this.
Shout out Edgar.
Edgar Page, love him. Edgar L. Page. The why. Like, not reinventing, but rediscovering.
Mm-hmm.
What is my why? Right? Like I had a why when I was dancing professionally. And then when I realized in that transition, when I realized, I think that's all I have to offer here. Like, you know what I mean? It was one of those like, period. Like I'm done with this. This chapter has ended. And I think that it was a level of acceptance of accepting this is a chapter. It's a chapter. Again, the book's not closing. It's a chapter of this part of my life that we're putting a period on and we're ending that. But again, it's the chapter. It's not the end. I'm moving on to the next chapter, which can still tell that same story. It still can incorporate dance, right?
Yes.
Like I can still have that, but it's just going to be in a different light. And I had to understand that in my mind's eye. Again, the narrative. I had to change the narrative in my head. Like, this is not the end. This is the end of whatever that was. And now I'm moving on to the next. And
like I said, I'm still getting on stage.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. Well, I think about after I, left company life.
Yeah.
I did a musical.
For sure.
I did an opera. I did, you know what I mean? And there was still, because I still had there was still stuff left in the tank, right? It wasn't, but I was doing it in a different way. And, I was joking with my partner the other day. I was like, I always wanted to be on Broadway and always wanted to do that.
I'm starting to have those thoughts for real.
No, but even, what I'm realizing also with this as well is perspective in the sense of, I don't have to doing this small theater, local production was just as fulfilling as if I was, that musical was just as fulfilling as if I went off to Broadway, right? I've changed my perspective around what these gigs were.
What dance looks like for you now. That's very interesting. Like, it kind of like, man, I always lose my train.
No, you're fine.
Like when you gotta get the time.
No. But yeah, it's what dance. And then also, I found I found a job, a teaching job. Like I was unemployed for months before I found new work, and that was, thank God I had a supportive partner.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know what I was about to ask. So like it kind of made me think, it kind of made me think about I wanted to ask you, just listening to you, do you still, I guess, get the same satisfaction like with your schedule and how much you perform now and how much you're invested in your craft? Do you still get the same satisfaction as you did, like, even like when you're in that time period when you're supposed to be doing this, like this, do you still get that same satisfaction now, even though you're not doing it at that level?
Even more, because I get to choose.
For sure.
It's not
interesting.
It's not my job.
Yeah.
It's not the breadwinner. I have to go to class. I have to show up. I get to rather than I have to. It's a privilege that I get work.
Yeah.
And
I think I'm just now coming in that space of thinking about that as well, of like, being more appreciative of like, like
gratitude.
I could take class whenever I want to. And when I do, like, there's a lot more integrity that comes with it. There's a lot more respect that comes with it.
You're more, I feel like I've been taking classes recently and I've been loving every moment of it because I get to come and first of all show up.
Yeah.
Because I want to show up. Yeah. No one's making me show up.
Not because I have to.
And then also a little bit of the pressure is...
The pressure dynamic
is
so changed.
I don't have to... Like, if I fall on my face, my leg doesn't have to go past 90. That's fabulous.
Right, yeah.
I can jump as high as I can do 2 turns. Bravo. You know what I mean?
For sure.
That feels good.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I will offer this because I think a lot of athletes, if they were asked this question, would say, no. I will never experience
the same
what I feel then in those moments anywhere else. And I think that is very true as well.
I agree. Yeah.
So for those ones, what I usually like to offer, because that is loss.
Yeah.
That is loss. But with loss is also
grief.
Gains, yeah.
Oh,
right?
okay. I was
thinking, I go to the fact that you had those, there's gratitude.
Yeah.
The fact that you even had those moments.
Yeah.
And so I think it is that consistent balance while also helping them grieve. Yeah, you might not know. I was just chatting with a professional baseball player about this recently, trying to figure out, when am I leaving? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And that's something that he's already anticipating. Like, I can't wrap my head around never walking in with my jersey on and having like hearing that reaction anymore. Like, will I ever be happy again if I can't have
if I don't hear that, if I don't have that? That is very valid, of course. Yeah, because that on any stage, the athletic stage, whatever, maybe you're a CEO and you'll never give that speech again. You're retiring or whatever.
What I like to kind of plant the seed with, and both of you mentioned this in your answers.
Okay.
Which is great. There has to be meaning in however you're pivoting, in whatever you're choosing to do next. Do you feel like there is meaning? Do you feel like there is some purpose, right? There's something in it for you that is allowing you to still feel connected to yourself, to the people you care about, to the values you have, to the
so important,
right? To the principles you keep, etc.
Absolutely.
Can I ask one
Of course.
last little thing?
Yeah, we're gonna wrap up in probably about like
just to cover all the grounds of transitions. What if it's not a happy ending transition? Like, what if it's really gruesome and not fun and really hurtful? And now you have a damaged relationship.
Absolutely.
Dance.
Yes. So I'll talk with people quite a bit about boundaries.
Yeah.
Can you transition into being a teacher? Do you need to not walk into a studio for a while?
Or see a performance or do that? Yeah.
And I can't tell them the answer there, but I can ask questions and kind of help them figure out what that answer is for themselves. Is there trauma? Is there trauma in whatever transition they are experiencing?
Yeah.
Because with all trauma, you have grief, but you don't necessarily have, with all kinds of trauma, you have grief. You don't always have trauma with all kinds of grief.
There you go.
I really like to tease that out a little bit. And if it was not a happy ending, if it has been a really challenging transition, I think addressing some of those more traumatic parts and how that's impacted the narratives that they have about themselves and other people in the world all need to be addressed too.
Something to kind of tag along on that. I think that was actually one of my questions in my on my cards was like, I'm trying to remember it now. Sorry, dramatic pause.
No.
Matter of fact, let me just see if I can find it.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes that trauma part of it, I mean, it puts a bad taste in your mouth about art.
Oh, yeah, I know what it was. It was basically, so when you are done, like when you do make that decision, would it be better to, I guess, like how we kind of discussing it now, it would probably be just dependent on the person. Is it better to kind of still put yourself in that environment or to really take a step back? But kind of just like hearing you guys talk, it like, again, it just sounds like it just kind of just depends on that person.
Yeah. For me personally, when I stopped playing basketball, I could not, the sound of squeaking shoes, I lost my mind. I could not. So I did not touch a ball. I did not watch a game for 4 years.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
It was hard for me to watch a show. Yeah. First show I went to, I cried my eyes out.
Yeah.
Cried like a baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was so emotional because I was like, that feeling, right?
Yes.
Wow. That grief.
Yes.
I think for me, it's just like a little apprehension, with, because I like to train, I like to be in class. Like, I love performing.
Like the process.
I like the process.
I like the process more than the product.
I get a little, I guess, like, I don't want to say intimidated, but
is it the fear of someone getting better than you because you're not training?
Better than me.
Oh, okay.
But like
low competition.
Yeah,
maybe, because I am getting a little older.
Into our psyche.
Yeah,
so that doesn't just leave us because we leave.
For sure. And there's certain skills that I know that like I don't want to slip on, and I might see somebody else like, ooh.
I don't want to be afraid to jump again. I'm afraid that I'm going to be that person that's scared to jump.
Oh, really?
Because I feel like as you get older, you get afraid to jump. But anyway,
thinking about that now. Actually, yeah. Let me pull back some because before we wrap up, Miss Natasha, I want to get into like one of our fun segments. It's like a rapid fire segment.
Okay.
So sort of like the simplest way to put it is just like a this or that. I give you 2 ideas and you tell me which one it is, or like the first thing that comes to your head.
Oh,
yeah.
This is so hard for me because I'm always like, there's nuance.
Yeah. Right.
It's both.
What is it? Yeah, totally.
Okay. All right. I'll do my best.
All right. And it's kind of short. So, one word to describe transition.
Pivot.
Starting or letting go.
Moving forward.
I like how she switched
I
up,
like-
right?
yeah.
Routine or freedom?
Freedom.
What emotion do dancers avoid the most?
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Oh, is that an emotion? That's an act of emotion.
How would you put that into emotion? Acceptance.
Content.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Tea. A mental health habit that every dancer should adopt.
It's supposed to be rapid fire. The pressure.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Reflection.
Okay.
Reflection.
What's more dangerous, comparison or perfectionism?
Perfectionism.
Beach or mountains?
Mountain.
For sure. Journaling or meditation?
Journaling.
Process or outcome?
Process.
Show. Small wins or big goals?
Small wins.
Take risk or play it safe?
Risks.
Therapy before or after crisis?
Both.
All three. In it,
So.
before, in it, and out of it.
Anytime you can get it.
Anytime you can get it.
Anytime you could get it.
Absolutely.
Miss Natasha, we're gonna wrap up in a little bit. Before we end though, I would like to know just your thoughts. If there's anything probably within this pod that we may have missed or things that that you would want the audience to take away, any of your viewers to take away from this idea. Again, this whole topic discussion came about during my process of transition. And so I wanted to make it a point to bring it to the pod and talk to somebody who's actually knowledgeable in this area and who could break it down. So is there any ideas or anything that we might have missed or anything that we can still leave with the audience?
I think I answered this the first time we did this the same way. Mental health and performance psychology. I mean, there is an infinite number of episodes that you could create on these topics. So certainly we miss things. I kind of pitched that back to your viewers, right? Like, what do they need more?
Yeah,
of?
leave it in the
What
comment
questions
section,
do
right?
they
So
have?
please, yes,
It's funny
yes.
that you asked that too, because there are various points during our conversation where I was thinking, what are we? What
are we not
missing?
touching on?
Yeah.
Right?
The thing that did come back to mind a few times.
Not to cut you off, I had a whole order and but we
Right.
kind of but I like that because like I said, I'm getting my chops back and it teaches me how to just be
Flow.
be ready and flow.
And I
You
think
know what I'm
these
saying?
organic conversations they just offer so much more. We're just in the moment having the conversation.
Yeah.
But one thing I think people might ask about is, I wish you would have talked a little bit more about injuries, right? And how do we, because we mentioned it a few times, but we didn't really dig in. So I will throw out just a couple things that I encourage people.
Please. I think we still
episode 3.
Yeah, we
You know,
We-
I said maybe this is a mental health
Oh, for
episode.
sure.
The third-
Absolutely.
the third
For
round
sure,
of
for
this.
sure.
Yeah,
But just like a few quick things that I will
Please,
offer
please,
to people. One is we talked about this idea of protesting your own reality. We cannot do that with injuries, right? You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it, but you do have to accept it and kind of meet yourself where you are. And I
Okay.
think with that, we have to revise expectations.
Exactly.
If you are injured and you are kind of getting back to it, you can't expect yourself to go as hard as you've been going. You can't expect yourself to show up exactly as you have been. And that's both physically and mentally and emotionally, because the toll of being injured is pretty great. So those would be my two kind of nuggets. Really think about reworking and revising those expectations that you might have. And certainly if you are someone who is protesting the reality and saying, how could this happen? Why did this happen? And replaying those things over and over again, it is preventing you from moving forward.
Yeah.
So
The revising expectations, that's huge. That is huge. That is exactly, Yes.
I was about to ask, but
And I think that's true for any transition that you are going through, right?
yes.
I think we do have to consider, okay, we're putting on a different role. We're kind of merging into a different identity. So how do the expectations around that?
So I love it. Miss Chloe, anything you want to leave us off with or any ideas that you haven't probably, You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we kind of got into it. Like normally, like I said, we'll get into the flow. So we jumped around a lot.
This was great though, but because I think we touched on anything. But yes, injury. I think that was a big one that I think you could definitely do another episode on.
Okay, thank you,
DJ, for sure.
Okay,
because I think that's a whole nother couple hour to talk about. You know,
say less.
But
say less.
I think that I would want to leave what I think about for myself and what I think about what I want people to take from this is that it's possible. Like it's possible.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And it's like I love the saying, flow as life flows. No, you need no other force. Yeah. Right. And so it's just like riding the grief waves or just riding the waves of life and just taking things as they come and facing it as it arrives, as opposed to maybe anticipating it or like having that clash with your reality, like really seeing your reality and knowing that it's okay. Yeah. Like, and there is someone out there who has experienced it. Yeah. There's someone to talk to. There, you know what I mean? There's.
I was just about to piggyback off of that, and if like if you are going through those things and you're clashing with the reality, like seek help.
Seek help.
That's exactly what I did. Gosh. Like I was for the longest. Just kind of prideful and just moving off like, I can do this. No,
there's no shame in asking for help.
There's a breaking point. And I feel like if you're a dancer and if you're an artist and if you ever get to that breaking point where you're just like, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to deal with myself, seek help.
Yeah.
I definitely encourage and recommend it for sure because it helped me out a great deal. Even though we only had one session, but that one session carried a lot, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Through the next like few weeks of like my process, you know what I'm saying?
Because people, again, mental health in these performance, sports, art, whatever, like it's so
high performance athletes.
Yeah, it's
you can't separate.
You can't separate them, and it's huge. And it just like, especially with being an artist, being a dancer, and all the things that you have to bring mentally, physically, even especially in certain companies, like if you have to bring your trauma, your story to life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's all, it's all encompassed. It's so mental health is just talk to somebody. Talk, please.
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed. Miss Natasha, we're gonna wrap up. Thank you so much.
Thank
again.
You.
Like this is our second time together. I'm always appreciative of any of my guests, but you for sure. I want to thank you for just coming on, sharing your knowledge and sharing your time with us. Yeah. Miss Chloe, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for co-hosting.
I think that's my co-host name, Miss Chloe.
Miss Chloe.
But you're gonna say that Atlanta accent though.
Thank you so much for hopping on with me and helping me feel that much comfortable about getting through this. Yes, I just always like to show gratitude and just always be thankful for anybody who comes on. And Dance Family, if you guys have any ideas or any thoughts, please, I always encourage like the viewers and the followers to share your thoughts. You can DM me, you can leave comments, you can share, just be a part of what it is that I'm building. What else do I want to leave them with? Again, please subscribe to the YouTube channel at The Movement Mic. Mm-hmm. Follow us on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Again, this is your mic and your movement. And we just want everybody to feel inclusive and just feel good about being artists, Yeah. So, like I said, I just want to leave them off with this is your mic and your movement. Peace.